When police walked into the Colorado home of Shannon Watts, they found her purse, phone, and car still there. But Shannon, who was 15 weeks pregnant, and her two little girls were gone. No note, no trace. What happened inside the Watts home that night would soon unravel into one of the most shocking true crime cases in America. Shannon Catherine Watts was born in New Jersey in 1984. Friends and family remember her as outgoing, ambitious, and deeply loving. She worked in health and wellness, building a career that allowed her to stay home with her kids. In 2010, she met Chris Watts, a quiet, shy oil field operator. They married in 2012 and settled in Frederick, Colorado. On the outside, the Watts looked like the picture of the American dream. A nice suburban home, two young daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, and a baby boy on the way. On social media, Shannon often posted about her perfect husband, family trips, and their happy life. But behind the pictures, cracks were forming. Financial problems, constant arguments, and eventually, Chris's infidelity were tearing the marriage apart. On August 13, 2018, Shannon returned from a business trip around 2 a.m. A friend dropped her off, not knowing it would be the last time anyone saw her alive. That same morning, she missed a prenatal appointment and wasn't answering calls or texts. Worried, her friend Nicole Atkinson drove to the Watts house. She noticed Shannon's car in the garage, her purse and phone inside, but Shannon and the kids were gone. Alarmed, Nicole called the police. When officers arrived, body cam footage showed Chris Watts walking into the house. He appeared calm, but something about him seemed off. He told police Shannon had taken the kids to a friend's house, but his story didn't add up. Her shoes, purse, and car were still there. Neighbors also noticed Chris wasn't acting like a desperate husband. Detectives began digging deeper. At first, they considered abduction, but there were no signs of forced entry. Suspicion shifted to Chris. Then came the bombshell. Investigators discovered he was having an affair with a co-worker, Nicole Kessinger. Chris had told Nicole he was divorcing, but in reality, Shannon was desperately trying to save the marriage. Chris agreed to take a polygraph test. He failed. Investigators pressed him harder, telling him they already knew he wasn't telling the truth. Eventually, Chris cracked. But his first confession was twisted. He claimed Shannon had killed the kids, and in rage, he killed her. Detectives didn't buy it. And soon, Chris finally revealed the horrifying truth. That night, after Shannon came home, Chris confronted her in their bedroom. He told her he wanted out of the marriage. Then, while she was pregnant with their son, he strangled her. The next morning, when Bella and Celeste woke up, he calmly loaded them and Shannon's body into his truck. He drove them to a remote oil field owned by his company. There, he smothered his two little girls and hid their bodies inside oil tanks. He buried Shannon in a shallow grave nearby. The brutality of the crime stunned the nation. Chris Watts had murdered his wife, his unborn son, and his two daughters, all to start a new life with his mistress. In November 2018, Chris pleaded guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder, avoiding the death penalty. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. At sentencing, Shannon's family gave emotional statements about the devastating loss. The judge called Chris' actions the most inhumane and vicious crime he had ever seen. Even years later, the case continues to haunt people. Documentaries, books, and interviews have dissected every detail, from Chris' chilling TV interviews to the shocking way his lies unraveled. Behind the facade of a perfect suburban life, Chris Watts destroyed his family for his own selfish desires. And the haunting question remains, how could a husband and father kill the very people who loved him most? This is the tragic, chilling story of the Watts family murders.